Welcome to Eye on America. I'm Michelle Miller. Today we look at the complex and evolving state of our nation's infrastructure. In California, we see how a unique group of trash detectives are helping to identify those illegally dumping garbage and polluting neighborhoods. And in New York City, we learn how one startup is using cutting-edge technology to revive a classic form of construction. But we begin in central New York, where efforts are underway to reconnect Syracuse neighborhoods separated by the construction of the I-81 in the 1960s. Scott McFarland speaks to the city's mayor, who says he's trying to repair something more important than pavement.
Bishop Bernard Alex's church calls itself a home of restored believers.
Don't judge me by my container.
It's just a few miles from his boyhood home in Syracuse, New York.
They were gone.
A neighborhood Alex believes is in desperate need of its own restoration.
It was where people planted a garden.
Pioneer Homes, one of the nation's oldest public housing communities, was built in Syracuse in the 1930s, but then sliced apart in the 1960s when the government erected Interstate 81 right through it.
Through what? You took away a thriving, vibrant community. You took away the hope and the space of the people.
The highway still casts a massive shadow, separating it from white and affluent neighborhoods, hospitals, and schools.
You think they were trying to drive people out?
I do.
But only for a few years longer, because the government is about to level about 1.5 miles of this highway, including this part.
A CBS News review of federal records found these communities, which sit in the shadows of major highways, suffer higher pollution rates. The people have higher asthma rates. There are lower property values and lower incomes.
Syracuse is one of more than 130 communities nationwide that shared $3 billion in federal awards in 2023 to reconnect neighborhoods segregated by highway planners in the 1900s. From Portland, Oregon to Philadelphia, cities are capping stretches of expressways with parks and green space planted over the roadway.
It is a scar that goes through the heart of our city.
Syracuse Mayor Ben Walsh says his project is among the most ambitious.
We're driving beneath the highway.
Yeah.
Seems like an eyesore.
To say the least.
Costing more than $2 billion, they're rerouting I-81 around the city of Syracuse, then demolishing the current stretch, replacing it with a pedestrian-friendly grid of surface streets with shops, stop signs, and potentially new life for Pioneer Homes.
We can't undo the wrongs of the past, but we can try to get it right this time around. We have an opportunity to knit back the fabric of our cities and to bring people together.
While in other traffic-choked cities nationwide, highway expansion goes on.
Is it unavoidable this highway has to expand?
Yeah, it's unavoidable.
Like in North Charleston, South Carolina, where I-526, which runs through many mostly black neighborhoods, is set to be widened.
Some of these houses were already here.
Mayor Reggie Burgess says dozens of homeowners will need to be relocated, but the state is offering affected residents housing assistance, employment help, and college grants.
Of course, we don't want to displace people, but when we have to actually improve the infrastructure, sometimes we have to make decisions that are not accepted, but I think that people understand it.
But he saved me.
Back in Syracuse, Bishop Alex hopes more people soon move back to the neighborhoods near Pioneer Homes to speed up a revitalization that comes with slower, lower roads.
We stay on the road as we examine how electric vehicles are giving some parents more peace of mind. Oakland, California became the first school district in the country to deploy an all-electric fleet of buses that also allows parents to see vital information about their child's ride. Here's CBS News Bay Area's Juliette Goodrich with more.
The big yellow school bus. 27 million kids in the U.S. take him to school every year, including when he was younger. Sam Shankman.
Although he is bold and brave and has a big personality, we worry about him.
His parents worry because Sam is developmentally disabled. So small at birth, his mom's ring fit around his wrist. Like so many kids with special needs, Sam has trouble communicating. But then, so too did his school bus.
We never knew when he reached his destination. We never knew if there were stops along the way, if there were any problems. And it was always a constant worry.
Another worry, the exhaust. In the U.S., 500,000 school buses run on diesel fuel, producing more than 5 million tons of greenhouse gas emissions every year. The pollution from diesel can cause heart and lung problems. UCSF pediatric pulmonologist Dr. Elizabeth Gibb.
All children are susceptible to the effects of air pollution, but special needs kids, particularly premature infants, children with chronic lung diseases, really feel those effects more severely.
Now, a groundbreaking solution.
I think this is going to really change the entire way student transportation is done across the nation.
The Oakland Unified School District is the first in the nation to deploy an all-electric school bus fleet.
It's amazing for us, we're not breathing the fumes.
74 buses entrusted with transporting all the district's special needs students.
We've even chosen the lights to be special so that way they're not as harsh to the kids.
For head of transportation, Kim Rainey, it's about ensuring these kids get a fair chance at learning.
Everything about this is a game changer for these special ed kids and for our students.
To get the vehicles, the district partnered with Zoom, an electric bus startup headquartered in Silicon Valley.
Zoom was founded out of a very personal need of mine.
Founder and CEO Ritu Narayan. She got the idea when she struggled to find a safe, reliable solution for her own kids.
And this area is so antiquated, it's very little touched by technology.
That's changed with Zoom. An integrated platform connects the parents, bus drivers, and school. When a child gets on or off the bus, a notification is immediately sent to all the parties. Parents can see the route, who the driver is, and where the bus is. As for Sam, he may have missed the chance to take a Zoom bus, but he's got the right idea. Sam has his own EV vehicle that takes him around the neighborhood. His mom is happy to see special needs kids taken into consideration.
A solution like this is just wonderful.
And truly a new kind of magic bus.
Coming up, a growing movement to replace single-family homes to ease the national housing shortage. This is Eye on America. Welcome back. Increasingly high prices and low inventory are proving to be frustrating barriers for millions of aspiring homeowners. Advocates are calling for more multifamily homes, while opponents say the charm and character of more traditional single-family neighborhoods will be destroyed. Usher Qureshi talks to proponents who believe more multifamily unit buildings will lead to more affordable housing.
This is my favorite one. I might have to put this one upstairs in my office.
For the first time in her 67 years, Rebecca Hemmons is settling into a home she owns.
So that was always a dream and a goal for me.
A dream and a goal that wasn't very easy to achieve.
Not at all.
Though it's not exactly how she imagined it.
Once I had this dream about living in a single-family home and sitting on my porch with my table of lemonade and glasses for the neighbors to wave at.
She couldn't afford a single-family home near Minneapolis, but multi-family housing made her dream of homeownership possible.
Looking for housing is a tedious journey.
How big of a problem is affordable housing in the Twin Cities?
It's a huge problem, and it's getting worse and worse year over year. Just as an example, the past 5 years, I think our median housing price has increased by $100,000, which is a huge increase.
Realtor Paige Kale is part of a growing nationwide coalition of pro-housing advocates who think more building density can solve the problem. It's called the YIMBY movement, short for Yes in My Backyard. It pushes for an end to single-family zoning, making way for more multiple-unit buildings to create more affordable housing.
So if you have 4 units on a single-family site, as opposed to 1 unit, you're able to, spread out the land costs and the infrastructure costs to 4 different housing units.
Minneapolis passed a plan to do that by 2040, but environmentalists and some homeowners oppose the changes.
The 2040 plan will hurt the uniqueness, the character, and the architectural heritage and charm of many single-family home neighborhoods.
It's controversial.
There were a lot of people in community that had strong feelings about it, for sure.
Aline Chermeroff is with the Minneapolis Federal Reserve.
Of course, the real question is, will it work?
Well, it's yet to be known.
Over the next 10 years, she'll track the plan's economic impact.
This is not going to happen overnight.
Correct. Even if you drive down the street, you can see a lot of cranes, and I think from that standpoint, I would say that that's positive, that there's a number of new units coming online every year.
Minnesota lawmakers have been considering taking the rezoning reform statewide. Other places that have also implemented YIMBY policies include California, Oregon, Massachusetts, and Montana.
None of the single-family homes that I looked for matched my budget, for one, and for two, there were too many things that needed to be done that I would have to come up with more to get it looking the way that I wanted it to.
Advocates say rezoning could help more Americans like Hemmons find affordable options.
This is the first. I'm the first person in my family to be a homeowner. First time.
That's quite an accomplishment.
It is.
Home ownership redefined and neighborhoods reshaped.
We turn now to another issue that's plaguing many communities: excessive litter. An estimated 50 billion pieces of trash are cluttering U.S. roads and waterways. Mark Strassman shows us what one major city is doing about the problem.
Looks like construction debris, some household stuff.
In someone's bags of dumped trash.
You smell that?
Ramses Alvarez's team just found their treasure.
It looks like some W-2s.
A name with an address.
What you're doing here, though, is building a case.
Yeah. This is our evidence.
San Francisco's like much of America, blighted by litter. Alvarez supervises these public works employees. Think of them as trash detectives, rooting through mounds of rubbish, block by block, bag by bag, trying to tie the trash to the trasher.
What'd you find?
It's like credit card applications.
It happens 24/7, 365. There's always illegal dumping in this city.
Surveillance video shows this guy unloading his truck onto the sidewalk. Fines can hit $1,000.
The goal of the program is more than just cleanup, it's accountability.
Yes, it's not okay to use the city as your trash can.
Talking trash nationally. There are an estimated 50 billion pieces of litter lying around on U.S. roads and waterways. That comes out to roughly 150 pieces of litter for every person living in this country. San Francisco alone generates 5,000 tons of trash a day. Recology, one of the city's waste disposal companies, collects and separates most of it into three categories: landfill, recycling, and compost sold to fertilize nearby farms. But 18,000 tons of trash a year gets dumped on city streets.
You walk out here every day.
Man, and it's going to be garbage.
Joffrey Simpson lives on this corner. It's one of 30 hot spots for dumping just in this one neighborhood.
Who was doing this, do you know?
And I wouldn't know, man.
Yeah, but it takes you off.
Constantly.
In a 2024 Lawn Starter survey of America's dirtiest cities, New York City's living conditions came out first, which means worst. San Francisco second, Jersey City third.
He's calling our Packer truck.
In San Francisco, many people dump to dodge trash collection fees paid by most owners and renters here.
We want to recycle and compost as much as possible.
Recology's Robert Reed has this reminder: do your part.
We all generate garbage. We all have a personal responsibility to take care of it, to put it in the right place.
People are good.
In this trash, no leads. All the personal mail torn to pieces.
So that person's getting away with it.
Yeah, until next time.
And next time could be right around the corner.
Ahead, how one company is carving out new possibilities for the future of architecture. The story is next. We close our show looking at a new twist on an old practice. Masonry has been the cornerstone of architecture for centuries, but the high cost of stone has forced builders to largely abandon the material for major construction projects. Bradley Blackburn gets a look at the New York-based startup utilizing powerful technology to make ornate stonework more accessible.
Inside this century-old warehouse, among dusty piles of stone,
This piece of machinery is shaping the future of architecture.
It really is monumental. It's huge.
Yeah, people are surprised when they're standing next to it.
When it comes to life, it has the power to turn stone into art.
It's been running for 40 hours plus already.
Micah Springett is the founder of Monumental Labs, the first company in the U.S. using 7-axis industrial robots, often used on auto assembly lines, to create ornamental stonework for buildings.
The detail is down here.
Detail's down here. It can move into any position you want. It's like a human arm. We'll actually start with something larger like this to take off huge chunks, and this will spin at a faster rate. And then we'll get down to the smaller ones. And then we'll go down all the way to a 2mm piece that can get into all the tiny bits. The robot will stop, put the bit back, pull out the next one, test it to make sure it's got the right length, and start up again.
Until the 1930s, ornate stone was widely used on structures around the country, hand-carved by low-paid immigrant craftsmen. Today, custom stonework is expensive and rare, and Springett says badly needed.
You've called current architecture bland, soulless. You said there's a tyranny of panes of glass.
Tyranny of the flat plane. We are beholden to these machines that work only when you put the same input out and get the same output over and over and over again.
Springett's background is in tech, not architecture, but he started sculpting as a hobby and saw the potential to bring the spirit of a startup to a medium as old as time.
What do you think Michelangelo would think about this?
Michelangelo would have a studio of multiple robots, and he would be making 10 times as much sculpture. And he'd be doing stuff that was bigger and more complex because he could.
The complex projects at Monumental Labs look like this. Replacing balcony facades on a historic Manhattan hotel. They were originally hand-carved in 1880, but deteriorated over the decades. The old balconies are laser scanned and digitally rebuilt by a graphic artist before 12-foot slabs of stone are put in front of the robot.
Yeah, I think so.
At the end, there's still a human touch.
So on this piece, I'm going to be working into getting really deep into these grooves.
Sculptor Liza Little is used to hand tools. She's now learning to work with a robot.
Even though the machine does so much of the dock removal, having the hand of an individual artist to really bring it all together and make it art.
How much does one of these machines cost?
This machine, all in, $300,000 to $400,000.
The payoff, he says, is that they create flourishes in a fraction of the time and at a fifth of the cost of traditional methods. It brings the price of stone back to earth.
We should be able to do anything we did in 1911 or 1890 today for less cost. I think we're going to see a whole new world of beautifully crafted stone buildings.
Do you think they're onto something here?
Completely.
Architect Craig Copeland has never worked with Springett, but he's long used stone in his buildings, including here.
So this is Brookfield Place.
Yes. Used to be called World Financial Center.
This 80s-era structure, with its famous winter garden, was destroyed on 9/11.
Where we had 1 year to...
Copeland helped rebuild and expand it, using some 200,000 square feet of stone. Copeland says stone is increasingly in demand for high-end building projects. It's valued for its beauty and a smaller carbon footprint. Copeland says mining stone produces fewer emissions than mixing concrete. It's more durable and a better insulator than facades made entirely of glass and steel.
Thinking about the longer term, not just the moment, but thinking about our kids and the future, stone is a great choice from that standpoint.
But not everyone agrees we're about to enter a new stone age.
Being in the city, it's a privilege for architects.
Architecture professor Damoun Bolasani sees a different future.
Is stone a major building material for the future?
No. It's just a matter of competition with new material, and it's going to get worse for stone.
At City College's Spitzer School of Architecture, they're pushing the limits of materials like concrete, using chemistry to make them stronger and more environmentally friendly.
The idea for architects is to just explore these new materials, being aware of future of construction and the material that's going to be available.
He thinks robotics will be shaping these new materials into all kinds of buildings. But stone carving, even by robot, will remain a luxury.
Robots and advanced manufacturing could help to bring the price a little bit lower, but still the source is a problem. Like the stone is expensive. The best market for stone carving, it would be in historical preservation, I think.
Monumental Labs is moving quickly. They plan 100 robots within 5 years.
You see this happening all across the country?
I see it happening anywhere that values great architecture.
The piece we saw take shape has now taken its place in the middle of Manhattan. The company's first commission cemented in the city, a monument to a new way of building.
We are now limitless in what we can create, and we're creating amazing new canon of sculptures and works that don't necessarily look like they did in the past. They will look sometimes super photorealistic, they will look sometimes abstract, but it will be whatever we can imagine.
For more stories like these and live coverage of breaking news, stream us right here on CBS News 24/7. I'm Michelle Miller. Thank you for watching Eye on America.